research is the art of never getting started. And that's a scary proposition. So I think on some level there has to be this immediate, I'm going to do the thing, I'm going to immerse myself, all will be well if I focus on this one thing today and I understand that there's going to be a turd associated with it. What are you taught? Well, when I get started, it's not going to be perfect, it's not going to be pretty, but if I continue down the path of making money online, I shall figure it out. And that's always been the case for me to this point, and for that I'm very, very grateful.
You're listening to The Growth Booth, the show focused on achieving lifestyle freedom through online businesses. Whether you're looking for step-by-step strategies to start building an online business, simple game plans to grow your business, or proven lifestyle freedom frameworks, you are in the right place. Stay tuned and be sure to join the thousands of listeners already in growth mode.
Hey everyone, Aidan Booth here. Welcome to episode number 47 of The Growth Booth. Now today I'm joined by someone who has had a pretty special impact on my business and by virtue of that on my life. So Brian G. Johnson, welcome to the show.
Aidan, it's great to be here. It's always a pleasure to hang out and spend time with you.
Likewise. Now, there's so many places we could begin, and I'm going to just try to keep the sentimental stuff to the short piece here, but I can say with my hand on my heart that I would not be where I am today if I had not crossed paths with Brian G. Johnson. He was one of my earliest mentors, and I believe that there are points in your life that really have this before and after feeling to them, and I can tell you that meeting, and not just meeting with Brian, but learning from him and working from him, without doubt falls into that category. And I've come to know Brian as one of the most generous and just best humans that I've met. And I'm even getting goosebumps just saying this. And I don't want to turn this into like a giant Oprah hug fest. So I'm going to quickly start talking about business. But Brian, I just want you to know how much I respect you, and you've done absolutely amazing things, and I've learned so much from this guy. And on that note, before I forget, make sure you check out Brian's website at briangjohnson.tv, and as always, we'll have the links to that in the show notes. So, Brian, so much we could talk about. You're doing some amazing things. Do you want us to dive into what you're doing here with YouTube, photography, combining your passions with business? Where can we start here?
For me, it's well. First of all, Aidan, and I won't go too long either. But working with you, it was also a real high point for me, and being able to see what you've done is incredible, and you just make me really proud. So thank you for that. It's life happens for reasons, and people come together for reasons, and I've learned so much from you. It's ridiculous.
I should give our listeners a little bit of context, because I said all of that without giving them context. So I started my online business in 2005, and I came across Brian's coaching, training, educational information around about 2007, and got amazing results from what he was teaching immediately. And then we went on to work together very closely, even launching products together. We've been on family vacations together, and Brian has turned into one of my most trusted people that I know in the online space, but also in the offline space as well. So a little bit of context for everyone that was just wondering, where all of this began. So here we are. 15 years since we were doing search engine optimization together. What is Brian G. Johnson working on as we roll into 2023?
One of the things we chatted about, Aidan, before coming on was just our love to create and teach. And I think at the heart of anybody that really does that at a high level is curiosity and wondering, like, how can I reach the next level? I mentioned to you, just watching you has been amazing, and you create such a great content. And you mentioned, I'd never want to put anything on the web that I wasn't proud of. And what came to my mind, I didn't mention it, was your amazing blog and these epic blog posts. And they're really not like blog posts; they're more like white notes or white papers, rather, really covering in depth how to get results of one specific topic, testing of different theories. And
I wonder who
I'm
I
very
learned that
similar
from.
in that.
I wonder who I learned that from, right?
I mean, I think if you're really curious about things and you're like, well, what's the worst that could happen? And so for me, after, we worked together you came into one of my programs. I could tell right away this guy's going to go far. We both started making a bunch of money in the program. It was like Halloween costumes, and we did that a few years, and then we did internet marketing and digital marketing, and we did Kindle marketing, and I wrote a book called Trust Funnel. And as I got to the end of that, I thought, well, what do I do now? Because like I should be all grown up. I've been doing this internet marketing thing for, geez, at the time maybe 15 years. Now it's going on more than 20. And I thought I've never really been curious and focused on video at a high level. So I started with one of these. This is a phone. You can record video. You can record a podcast. It's a content creation machine. And I literally confined myself to, I'm going to grow on YouTube with an amazing channel, but I'm only going to start with a phone. And some of the earlier videos that I published literally have like 8 or 900,000 views filmed with a phone. And from there, it just began to grow, and I have this deep love of video now that I knew I was always interested in video, but I found when I got into it, that curiosity has never gone away because it's hard and it's deep, and there's so many elements, right? It's story, it's video editing, it's lighting, it's cameras, it just goes on, and trying to learn how to engage an audience in the research. So I'm a beginner. I'm a forever beginner when it comes to video and live streaming, and I've started doing shorts now. And so I guess I'm a content creator, YouTuber guy who writes books, and I just like to create content online.
When you are creating content, do you think about the monetization at all in the early stages, or are you just thinking, this is something that I enjoy doing, the monetization will take care of itself? And I say that because one of the things that I know that you're passionate about is video and is photography. And I wonder if you have ever asked yourself, well, what about the commercialization? Because you've been in other niches that have been very easy to monetize. Is that something that has really come into your mind, or for you, is it more about the enjoyment of doing something you're passionate about?
For me, it's both, because I have this intrinsic, is that the word I'm looking for? I have this deep feeling of I need to be able to make money because what I'm going to do is going to be worth value. Like, I'm not going to just create a bunch of crap. I'm going to learn. I'm going to
do. And you got to eat. You got to like eat and drink and stuff.
That's what it's about, right? And so I think one of the things about where I'm at now is it's very easy to think about, like you say, do you think about monetizing? Yes, but it happens in like a minute, and I'm like, okay, I'm good. That's a good niche. I can do it.
Second nature.
Like second nature. And one of the things I want to share that I think is really important, especially for people that are getting started, is oftentimes, not always, but sometimes research is the art of never getting started. And that's a scary proposition. So I think on some level, there has to be this immediate, I'm going to do the thing, I'm going to immerse myself, all will be well if I focus on this one thing today, and I understand that there's going to be a turd associated with it. Right. What are you taught? Well, when I get started, it's not going to be perfect, it's not going to be pretty, but if I continue down the path of making money online, I shall figure it out. And that's always been the case for me to this point, and for that I'm very, very grateful.
I think it does make things easier when you have got the ability to look at things through a longer term lens. This is something that I often come back to, but you know, if you were looking at your project and just thinking, oh, you know, I must make money from this within my first 100 days, that's one problem. But if you're thinking about, you know, this is something I enjoy and I'm going to do this for the next 12 months or 18 months, it gives you a little bit of leeway and time to be able to see some results and grow the business.
You know what's interesting is I like to doodle
Yeah.
because, and as you were chatting before we got started, you mentioned that this podcast, I believe, is over in its second year. You gave yourself
It's coming
1
up to
year when
one.
you.
It's coming up to 1 year. Yeah.
Okay,
So
so if we detail it, it's coming up to 1 year, but you're going to add on a second year and you're going to see where it goes, which that's a lot of time to a lot success. And I think it's important to be really excited about what you're going to do and to know that there can be money. But I just think, it's also important not to like, I see so many people trying to navigate the perfect monetization plan. Like what comes to mind is a huge whiteboard and all these arrows and just make a video or create a podcast or write your first Kindle book like just take the next step, because if you do that and you spend all this time on this huge plan, I guarantee what you're actually doing in 6 months will not be anything like what you planned. At least that's my experience anyway.
yeah, I've seen the same thing, and I think this is a trap where people tend to overcomplicate what they're doing and spend too much time thinking about that overcomplication. Whereas, like you mentioned, you started a YouTube channel and all you had was a smartphone, and you just got down to business and did it. And you wake up one morning and you've got 100 videos and you've got hundreds of thousands of views, and that happened because of the action you were taking. And really, I think more than the action, just the mindset, because I think the most successful people have this mindset of learning and growth and are less worried about the immediate result of the action that they're doing today and more worried about, what are they doing in the bigger scheme of things.
Boy, I so wholeheartedly agree. And it's just so easy to get so caught up in the minutia of making money. But when you just get started and you push forward, great things can and often do happen. It's not complicated, but it's really easy as human beings because we're intelligent. Sometimes maybe a little bit too much. And, we're trying to find the very best niche, where maybe the very best niche is actually kind of competitive, but you're really passionate about it. Or maybe the very best niche is the opposite. It's not a huge niche, but there is money to be made. But again, you have passion. So I think it's just about finding something you're excited about, that a group of people are interested in, and moving forward and learning. And for me, the bigger part of the picture, and I think we both kind of mentioned this, is that joy and fulfillment is found in the process of making the money. The money is half of it, but if that's all there is to it, it's kind of hollow and it's not as fun. I'd rather make $250,000 a year rather than 500 if I get to do exactly what I want, answer to no one, or answer, if I get to do exactly what I want. To me, and again, this is a personal choice, but to me, that's more valuable than chasing only the dollars. So.
Well, at that point, you're not working; you're doing what you love, and I think that's this idea of the passion that you mentioned. Now, some people listening to this might be thinking, "Well, I don't know. What is my passion? I don't really have a passion." Any thoughts? Any ideas you could give people who might be falling into that kind of a thought process?
One of the things about me that I kind of laugh at, Aidan, when I look back, like I'm an older guy now. I'm going to be 57, which is that's weird. 57 years old in December. And I think it was probably around my late 40s. I discovered how creative I am to a fault. Like a lot of times I can make stuff like YouTube videos that are so creative and kooky and goofy, but there's also a lot of knowledge there. But that creativity can get in the way for people, and they have a hard time seeing like the smart plan and a point or something. But what I learned is that I am a really creative person. I didn't even think I was creative until I was in my late 40s. I had already been a professional chef, creating my own recipes, doing internet marketing, learning about expired domains, learning about WordPress, learning about audiences, understanding search engine optimization like nobody's business, like I'm very, very creative, but like I didn't even see that because I didn't really think about it on a level. And I think in order to like find your passion, you have to try things in life, and you may be uncomfortable and it may not work out. Like I think one of the things that a lot of people struggle with is sucking. I actually have a T-shirt that was made. It's so goofy. It says "Embrace your suckage," which basically means when you're a beginner, you are going to suck and it's going to look bad and people will laugh at you. But often those people that are laughing are on the sidelines. They're spectators doing nothing, pointing fingers because they're not happy with where they're at.
I think anyone who's ever made a video with a commercial end in mind or something that they're going to share with the public, if they looked back at their first video, they would say that video sucked. However, it's just part of the journey, and you don't get to, becoming Steven Spielberg without having plenty of flops and bumps along the road. What about another thing that I was thinking about while you were talking here is many of the things that we used to talk about 15 years ago with regards to choosing a niche. The same rules apply today. So I feel like niche research, niche validation, those things don't really change. Do you agree with that?
It's so funny because I think the people that are very, very, very successful see internet marketing as nothing's changed. We got new whiz bang. I got this phone. It's got 3 lenses. It shoots beautiful night photography. We have this fancy tools, and it's still, everything is the same. You find a group of people, and you learn about those people. You learn where they live, what they're worried about, what they want, what their desires are, and you make content for those people. You get out of your own way. You say, I'm going to serve these people, and I'm going to give them what they want. And the better you're able to do that, the more likely they're going to take action. So, back in the day, we would use tools like Google research, and we look at search volume, and we look at competition. And today, when I make videos, I look at search volume and competition, and I'm a little bit more on like, what do I need to do as far as packaging video content? Because I'm more video centric, specifically YouTube. So I'm much more into story and the pace of the video and what I share and the editing. But all the research stuff is literally, it's exactly the same, to answer your question.
Right. Now, some people listening to this, thinking about content creation, we've been talking a lot about video. What if people don't like being on video? I mean, any tips for them? Maybe other types of content they could create, or other ways to create videos. What are your thoughts about that for people that specifically don't want to be on a video?
I would say it's really important to start where you're at and to step forward in any way possible. So if like I'm just not doing video, great. Do a podcast, make videos where you're not. Maybe you're not on camera. So I think one of the things is be cognitive or mindful of the fact that you want to try to push yourself, because it takes a lot of courage to create a plan like you did. You told me, I created this podcast. I gave myself 1 year. That's like a lot of dedication and time and effort and thought over and over again over an extended period of time to have doubts, but you did it. And I think when you can have that, and that you want to push yourself, but you're also realistic, like I'm not putting myself on camera. Well, how about a voiceover? Are you willing to make videos with just your voice? Or maybe you're just not interested in video. Maybe you like the idea of podcast. Maybe you like the idea of writing. I was talking to a friend about Kindle, the power of Kindle, and writing ebooks or websites and blogs, and it's so endless. I think the more that you just say, I'm open to learning about internet marketing and getting started, and again, you asked about passion and finding your passion, so it's really hard to know you don't like something unless you truly try it.
Yeah, we had a guest on the Growth Booth, episode number 45, and his whole business started around blogging. So he was never on video. He did hundreds of blog posts over a period of years, and his business absolutely kicked off. And I think, where there's a will, you can find the way. So, for example, if you would love to have a YouTube channel, but you don't want to be on the camera, there are lots of ways to achieve that. One of my business partners and I, we've got a YouTube channel which is in the health niche. Specifically, the videos are about cooking, or a very different sort of twist on cooking. However, the only like human items you'll ever see on the camera are the hands. You'll never see the face on camera. You'll never see a person. You'll see hands doing different things with food, and it's a very unique style of video. Yet that's something that can be systematized and pumped out over and over and over again. And for the partner that I'm working with on that, I mean, he is an absolute cooking enthusiast. He loves it. He loves spending all his time in the kitchen, but he didn't want to be on camera, and he found a way, to make that work and put out great quality content in a way that people actually want to consume it. Because for that particular show, it's not about recipes per se. It's more about the process and showing the process of cooking. And you don't need to be on camera.
Sure.
I've seen other people create channels where they've loved the idea of owning a YouTube channel, if you like, and have hired a content creator. And I think there are just so many different ways that you can do this if it's something that you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely, without question. And I think that's one of the great things about the internet, is that it's multifaceted and so many different avenues and opportunities.
Asking you about the opportunity that exists today, like if people have not taken this opportunity yet, have they missed the boat?
Right. So like kind of where I was going with that is like, no, like there's huge opportunity. And it's rampant, right? So many people are afraid they miss the huge opportunity. The fact of the matter is, sure, if you were on the internet in 97, there was more opportunity, but it's not 1997, it's 2022. And there is so much opportunity, and there are so many millionaires that are going to be created in the coming weeks and months. So it's like, I think it's important to decide, this is an incredible opportunity, and I'm going to figure it out, and I can, and to take action and do.
I think in terms of the amount of information that's consumed on the internet, I mean, that's something that's growing every single day without a shadow of doubt. And the ability and the different ways to monetize nowadays and to reach people and to build an audience, and the fact that you don't need a big audience, I feel like the opportunity that exists today is as good as it's ever been. It might not be as easy today to get a video ranked at the very top of YouTube. However, you can still get a video ranked at the very top of YouTube. And I think if you've got a basic understanding about, how competitive a certain search term might be, or a certain niche is, and you understand that you can drill down into different segments, then that to me is the solution right there. You don't have to be going after weight loss. You can be going after weight loss for men aged 70 to 100 kind of a thing. It doesn't have to be the most competitive part of the market.
Aidan, one of the things I love about what you shared right there is, for me personally, I think that there's so much power in that. And I see so many people that are looking for this huge win. Like, when I finally do this thing, when I publish this video or this podcast, I'm going to blow up. And like, sadly, the reality is, for most mere mortals, it takes consistent effort over a period of time. And small wins lead to medium wins, which lead to bigger wins. And I released a training a few years ago about YouTube, where the whole idea is just, if you can drive 20 views a day from a video you publish, which is like 20 views a day, that's ridiculous. My channel has 13, maybe 14 million views now. In a highly competitive niche that's not really that big. People think it's big because if they're interested in learning YouTube. But if you look at golf or cooking or weight loss or health or wealth or any of the big niches, so much opportunity. And instead of trying to like hit a viral thing, a viral video, if you target something that's lower hanging fruit, the reality of ranking high in the search or getting recommended by the YouTube algorithm day after day is incredibly powerful. And then you start looking at how to convert people better. You and me both know it's really easy to convert someone who's really specific. Back in the day, we didn't target Halloween costumes. We targeted candy corn, witch costume, plus size with free shipping. Like if someone types that in and they land on your channel or your web page, and there's a picture of a candy corn costume for a plus size woman, and it says free shipping, she's going to buy. I mean, it's going to be like 87% conversion, and you don't need 20 hits a day. You need 10. And if you've got 50 of those, all of a sudden you made $50,000 at Halloween. And I think you probably beat that because you came in and you showed me you taught me how Halloween marketing could be done.
I've shared this story a few times, but on the back of what I learned from Brian, I went on to build over 1,000 websites about Halloween and exact match costumes, kids Spider-Man costume, plus size candy corn Halloween, God only knows what costume. And that was a real example of, hitting these singles as opposed to a home run. And if you hit 1,000 singles and each one of those singles earns you, $1,000, that's a lot of money. So I think that's definitely something that you can apply to marketing right now as we roll into 2023. I mean, you don't have to find that home run. In fact, in my experience with content marketing, it's all about hitting singles. It's all about creating that content that can accumulate over time. And through the process of doing that, sometimes you're going to get an occasional home run, something that goes viral. And but then if you don't, it doesn't matter either. I think it's about managing your expectations. And that's what I say to people who talk about a podcast. You're not necessarily going to get the viral traffic that you get potentially from a YouTube video, but you are hitting singles all day long, and those singles really start to accumulate after a while.
Good stuff. Yeah, it's really powerful when you think in those terms, because it becomes doable. All of a sudden, like, how do I publish a video that gets 1 million views? It's really hard to wrap your head around that and take action, and you can overanalyze, but like, can I publish a video that gets 20 views a day? It's pretty easy. And the other thing I want to say too about the strategy we're mentioning is that can be done relatively quickly. I can make a good video that does that in 6 to 8 hours. When I started, it took more than that. And still, that's a lot 6 hours for one video. It's YouTube, it's a little bit more production. I could probably boil it down to 3 or 4 hours in different markets, but relatively speaking, if you can do a lot of that though. You can do, pieces of content that take 5, 6, 7 hours again and again and again. And like you said, they add up.
And I think also part of the journey is learning how to get better and better and better. And if you can get 1% better every day, we know that over the course of a year, you've got 37 times better at whatever it is that you've been sort of honing, sharpening there. So I think there's a lot of truth in that in the world of content marketing. You don't have to put out your best content on day one, but if you can learn from it and embrace the process, then over time you're going to start getting some really good content out there. So I think it's coming back to what you said earlier, it's about getting rubber on the road and actually shipping content, as Seth Godin would say, shipping content, finishing something, publishing something, getting something out there, and then doing that over and over and over again.
100%, yeah.
So if someone is listening to this and thinking, hey, I would love to create a YouTube channel of my own, or I'm interested in getting a blog going or something like that, where does Brian G. Johnson go to learn these types of things? Do you go straight to YouTube and search for whatever it is that you're trying to learn? Do you buy a book? Do you search Google? How do you go about learning something new like this?
I mean, for me, my learning process has always been started by It's very interesting too what you do too. Like, where do I want to be in a year or so, 2 years? I decide on the thing. So, like, if it's YouTube, then I just really study that and I immerse myself. But it's interesting that I'm actually creating a video series right now about how to get started as a small YouTube creator. But the process really can be applied to anything. And the first thing I would say in the first video is to understand that what you really want to accomplish is to immerse yourself in the community. And what a lot of people mistake is they want to take from somebody. So they want to immerse themselves in the community so someone can promote them. When, okay, we all kind of want that, but instead, like, nobody wants to be taken from, especially by someone they don't really know. That feels like you just violated me. Instead, if you can say, I'm really interested in this particular niche, I want to learn a lot about it. And as I learn, I'm going to create content. And you can say it's going to be this kind of a thing. So if it's podcasting, what I would do is I would study and research 5 of the very best podcasters and look what they did when they got started. And that's another really powerful tactic. I think a lot of people, what they do is when they're starting, they look at what these big players do right now. Well, the problem is they're big players. The rules are different for them. But what did they do when they started? So, immerse yourself in a community, get started, and know that as you move forward, you will learn so much more by doing than trying to theorize yourself to the top, which is a mistake.
I don't think for most online businesses, you don't need to reinvent the wheels these days. You just have to find someone who's been there before you. And if they've got a recipe, then fantastic. And if they don't have a recipe, then, try to reverse engineer what they've done. At least, and that takes care of so many of the unknowns, or at least puts you in a position where you can make educated guesses. I can reverse engineer a YouTube channel, and I can say, well, look, there's got to be a reason why his thumbnails look like that. There's got to be a reason why her videos are such and such of a length, and why they contain certain elements. So I think, immersing yourself in it, and I think also heading over to your website. You've got some really good content on there at briangjohnson.tv. That's a great place to learn, and I know that you're incredibly enthusiastic about this, so that would be another recommendation for people as well. So look, hopefully you've taken some really good ideas and information from this show today. Brian, before we end the episode here, are there any final tips or suggestions that you would give to our listeners who might be interested about potentially building a business around their passion or diving into content creation, be it through a blog or YouTube or a podcast or whatever else?
Yeah, the last tip I would leave people with is really helped me go from doing okay on YouTube to really exploding. And that was probably a 6 to 9 month transition. And I had been leveraging a system I call the looping method. And what it does is it takes away overwhelm and really helps people understand where they're lacking in the content they create. So if you're on YouTube, the thing you want to think about is what are the most important elements in a great YouTube video. If it's a podcast, you want to think, what are the podcasters that people really gravitate towards? What are the most important elements? And then all you do is you create a piece of content, and then you do your best to be very realistic with your own evaluation of your content. And then from there, you just say, well, this one piece, if it's an audio podcast, if it's a podcast, or it could even be a YouTube video, there's one commonality for both, which is audio quality. And if it's really bad, then that's something that I can focus on. And if I can let all the other stuff go, then I have a really great chance of fixing one of the things that's detracting from people from really enjoying my content. So at that point, it made YouTube more. You mentioned 1% better. This is how I get 1% better. 15 most important things. I suck at audio. My audio needs to be better. And I keep focusing on that until I improve. But I don't stop publishing content. And then when I improve it, I go on to the next thing. My story is a bit weak. My keyword research, my thumbnails, my interview style, whatever it is, but you just focus on one thing at a time, and that really makes it easy to move forward and improve.
I think that's a little bit like applying the 80-20 rule to the project. So first of all, you identify the 20% of things that are going to account for 80% of what you eventually create and double down on those. And then you do it again, and then you do it again. And it's an iterative process. And, by knocking off one thing and getting a little bit better at it over and over again, then those improvements compound on themselves. And then one day you wake up and you've got this amazing product or amazing content or amazing system or whatever it might be that you're working towards. So, look, Brian, real pleasure to have you on the show. You're someone that I've wanted to have on the show since it started. Always enjoy our conversations and catching up with you. So thank you so much. We will have a link to your good stuff in the show notes, and to everyone listening, you can find that by going to thegrowthbooth.com and heading over to episode number 47, or by finding us on YouTube or Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever it is that you like to consume this content. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Brian, for being here, buddy. And we will see you on the next episode of The